If we all want to be clever or hide or are intent to bring something worthwhile and so on, this is what difficulties you all had to deal with the obvious. And the neurotic is simply a person who does not see the obvious. But in order to deal with the obvious, you first must get hold of the obvious. Now, the most obvious factor we encounter in our sphere is the fact that we have two levels of existence, an inner world and an outer world. And the inner world, often called the mind, looks as if it's something different or opposed to the outer world. And the gestalt that forms in our fantasy has to coincide with the gestalt in the outer world in order to come to a conclusion, to cope with life, to finish the situation, and so on and so on. If there's no connection between the two, then you have the person who lives on anastrophic and catastrophic expectation all the time, imagining that he will be rich and famous and so on and so on. Or if you have your catastrophic expectation, you imagine all the time that you'll be punished, people won't like you, and so on and so on. And the lack of checking out, the lack of getting the parallel between the two amounts to the many distortions and real catastrophes in life. Now there's one region where we are really insane, where we have a real private life of insanity, of an inner life unconnected with the external world, or apparently unconnected. And that is the dream. The dream appears to be real. As long as you dream, you're real in that situation. You really experience this as being your very existence, and especially if you are a self-frustrator, then you dream in terms of nightmares. You want to cope with the situation, achieve something, and again you frustrate yourself. You prevent yourself from achieving what you want to achieve. But you don't experience this as that you are doing it. You experience this as some other power is preventing you. Now we started yesterday with the shuttling between being in touch with the external world and getting in touch with yourself. And once you got in touch with yourself, something usually opened up. And if there's a direct connection, direct communication between the self and the world, you function fine. Then your potential's available, you can call on your own resources. But if you try to withdraw, and you can't withdraw to yourself, but just to that nucleus, that psychotic part in ourselves, that fantasy life, like the computer, the conceptualizing, the explaining, that is why. Or, as the Freudian do, the withdrawal to memories, to the past. Then you never can get to the true self. This Freud never got to the self, always got stuck with the ego. What we can do To understand and make full use of the dreams is to realize that this inner world of dreams is also our life script. And it's much more explicit way of our life script, not a more cryptic language. And just as in our everyday life, we encounter people, we cope with people. So we do in our dream. Only that is the beauty of the dreams. The dream fulfills many more functions than just this. But we can start with the fact that we encounter other people, other things in the dreams, and that every bit of the dream, every other person, everything, every mood is a part of our fractionalized self. Now this is so important that I like to reformulate it again. We are, as we are today, fractionalized people. People who are split up in bits and pieces. And it's no use to analyze these bits and pieces and cut them up still more. What we want to do in Gestalt Therapy is to integrate all the dispersed and disowned, alienated part of the self and make the person whole again. A wholesome person is a person who functions well, can rely on his own resources, and can resume its growth wherever the person gets stuck in its growth. So what I would like to do is, again, to start on the basis of dream work. And I have to say this. When you meet another person and this person feels the need to tell you a dream, then this person will tell you the dream as a story. Last night I dreamt ta-ta-ta-ta, I was ta-ta-ta-ta, and I did ta-ta-ta-ta, and so on. Now this is the first step, the story. The second step is to revive the dream. And we do this by making just a grammatical change. Instead of telling a story, we tell a drama. And we do it simply by changing the past tense into the present tense. I am climbing a mountain. There comes this and this and this and this. This is the second step. The third step is we play the stage director. We set the stage. Here's the mountain. Here am I. You notice slowly we get into the alive performance of the dream. And often we recover quite a bit of the vividness of the dream. We begin to realize we are the author. We are the stage director. So we can go then to the next step and do more. We become not only the author, the stage director, we become also the actor and the props and everything that is there. And then we see there are plenty of encounters possible, plenty of opportunities for two things. One is to integrate conflicts, and the other is to re-identify with the alienated parts. If we have alienated parts from ourselves, if we have disowned, we re-own them by re-identifying, by becoming those parts again. we have to undergo another metamorphosis. We have to become the mountain. We have to become the villain, the demon, and realize those are all projected parts of ourselves. So we encounter for the first time the idea of projection. Projection is a disowning of a part of ourselves, which then appears in the outer world, even within our personal world, and cease to be a part of ourselves. Now the reowning of many of these parts is unpleasant. We don't like to realize that we are a sewer or a policeman. And this is where the moment of learning to suffer comes in. To suffer for a moment the idea that we might be a sewer or a policeman. And then suddenly it appears that there are valuable energies somewhere hidden in those projections. And we can assimilate these and make them our own again. There are many more things to the dream, which I don't want to mention right now. But the one thing is, you don't have to work through the whole dream. Even if you only take a dream and re-identify with a few of the items, each time you assimilate one item, you grow, you increase your potential. You begin to change.